Hey everybody, my name is Guy Meador, and I'm going to talk to y'all today a little bit about flint knapping. Flint knapping though is, I think it comes from German origin, the word flint. The flint means the rocks, of course, and to knap means to break. So it's breaking the rocks. And it's not just taking a hammer and beating the rocks and breaking them anyway. It's flint knapping is controlled breakage. We try to control how we break the rock so we can make the rock, shape the rock into what we need it to be. So this is, I'll just go over some of my tools. This is a hand pad, and I use it to protect my hand when I'm taking the flakes off with a pressure flaker. And this is a copper tip pressure flaker that I use pressure to take flakes off. And they're more little detail flakes than with the boppers, the copper boppers that I use. There's one. And the copper bopper is for percussion, and it's for, you know, when you hit the rock to take off flakes. Hit it on the top and the flake comes off the bottom. This is an abrader. It's an old grinding wheel that I broke up, and I use it to get rid of these sharp edges on the stone, because if I hit this sharp edge, it's just going to crush that edge off. It's not going to set up that Hertzian cone. So I braid that back till the edge is not sharp. It's a thick edge so that when I hit it, it'll take the flakes off. And also when I braid, I also, you know, kind of shape it up, get it going like I want it. They call this lithic reduction continuum, and that's lithics represents the rocks. Rocks are lithics. Reduction is I'm reducing it with either pressure or percussion, and continuum, I'm continuously doing the same thing. I'm setting up little platforms and taking flakes. Setting up platforms. This would be my platform right here, where it's thick, to take a flake. Set up platforms and take flakes. And it's just continuous. It just happens until me as the flint knapper working this rock decides I'm done with it. That's all I want to do. Well, there's a lot of variables in flint knapping, and it's how hard or how much silica the flint has, or it's the size or the hardness of your hammer stone, which some are soft and some, this one's a soft one. This one would be a hard one. Some people use copper. This is we call it an aboriginal toolkit. It would be antler and hammer stones and maybe some native copper. It's what the natives around in the Americas would use. Probably some wood on certain stones. But the constant in flint knapping is called a Hertzian cone. Now the Hertzian cone, if you hit this rock, typically if you hit this rock right here dead in the middle, it would make a cone. And that's the same cone that you see on your windshield when a rock pecks your windshield. It's a little peck on the outside, but it makes that round cone. And here is a Hertzian cone on a rock that got hit. And the constant on this Hertzian cone is that it always breaks at a 120-degree angle. So a flint knapper uses that to his advantage because he don't want to hit. If he hits straight down, it's going to break at 120 degrees. So to get more longer flakes, he turns the rock to use more of that cone. And by doing that, he has to maybe hit it harder to make it go, or all that. And modern flint knappers use material from all over the world because they like pretty stuff. I like pretty stuff, you like pretty stuff, everybody likes pretty. But today I've got just, this is some rocks from around the southeast, from Arkansas and Florida, Georgia. Here's some from Alabama and Tennessee, Texas.
Just local stuff. Here's a piece from Oregon or maybe Mexico. It's a piece of obsidian.
But what I'm going to start on today is this piece of big old Texas rock. And I'm not going to make a big old Texas point. I'm just going to take me a piece off of here and make y'all a point out of that. And I'm going to use this hammerstone right here. And it's just a piece of rock from, I think, probably Alabama. Alabama meets Texas. Well, I can make a little point out of this. And I wear these gloves because these pieces that come off of this rock are really super sharp. When you first break this rock, these little pieces, that's as sharp as that edge will ever be. It's, people know how many microns and all that thick. This is sharper than a surgeon's scalpel. And they're actually taking obsidian flakes and making scaffolds to do eye surgery because the sharper the tool, the less it injures you. And here's this little flake I took off. This is a piece of leather. No tricks here. And I'm just going to show you how sharp this is. Try not to cut my finger. It's sharp. So then that's why I got this glove on this one hand. And that's why I got Band-Aids. So I'll braid this edge, and that gets it thicker. So when I do hit it, it will set up that Hertzian cone, that shock wave, and run through the rock. Now the natives use antler, wood, hammerstones, some native copper. I use these copper boppers. They're consistent. When I first started flint knapping, I was around some really good flint knappers. I wondered how they can make the good stuff, and mine just always, I'd get hung up on a certain problem, but they knew how to fix them, and at that time I didn't know. Now this is a hand pad, and I use it with a pressure flaker. Now the natives would have used a deer tine and a piece of leather. But with a piece of leather and a deer tine, that still hurts my hand, so I use a hand pad. It's got wood back here. That's loose right there. And it's basically the same concept. You're just pushing flakes off instead of hitting it. You have more control. And you get the flake exactly where you need it to go. And when you do this, you're not doing it with your arms or your hands. People ask me, how long does it take you to make a point? And you know, it varies. Every rock's different. Maybe 15 minutes, maybe I may work on something for hours and hours and then just finally just give up. Or put it down till later. Never really give up. But in my shop, I got buckets of stuff I put down for later. All right, looking better.
I know there are many different types of points. Is there one that's like your favorite to make?
Just a small corner notch point, and that's what this will hopefully end up to be. And I don't know, they're not the easiest to make, but I just like corner notch points. You know, an easier point would be a stem point or a side notched, because those notches aren't so hard. But
what is your favorite rock in Flint Knapping?
my favorite rock would be probably glass, because I mean, it's not a rock. It's man-made. It's pure. It doesn't have any imperfections. Now, locally where I live, the stone that the natives used was Tallahassee quartzite, and it's gnarly. And it makes sharp stuff, but it's not my first choice. It's what I'm trying to kind of cut my teeth on, because I could go get it for free. And when my buddy got me into flint knapping, I told him, I said, I don't want to make an arrowhead. He said, I started flint knapping. I bought some tools. I'm going to learn how. I said, I don't want to do that. Let's go find some arrowheads in the field somewhere. He kept on after me. And I told him, I said, anybody can make an arrowhead. Let's go find some. You know, can everybody find them? Anybody can make them. Well, he bought me a starter kit that had some basic tools, and it had some rock, and well, it wasn't just no time, that rock was gone. I found out anybody can't make one. So I worked on it and worked on it. And the thing I like about flint knapping, you know, and it's a small group in the United States that does it. It's not, you know, we're not millions strong, but they because anybody can't do it. It takes a lot of patience. But it's not me against Greyhawk or whoever to see who can make the best point, although it is, but it's me against the rock. This rock is not going to whip me. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to do this. I'm not going to let it do that to me.
What's your favorite style?
Just like a little corner notch. Yeah. And I normally don't make real big, huge points. Occasionally I do. I just like making little points like I find. You know, which I don't find many corner notched. out of the Tallahassee. They're mostly stemmed. A point this big would be an atlatl dart. It wouldn't be an arrowhead. A true arrowhead are the little tiny ones. Now I made some arrows and I was going to hunt. And they were about that big, maybe not quite that wide. I made 8 of them. Made me some cane arrows, put them on there, drew back and shot, and that arrow went boop, because that was so heavy. And I shot, and we'll find one of them. I was shooting into a dirt pile, and one of them broke in half, and I just resharpened it right quick, and that was a lot better. And I learned there, you can't use a big heavy point because it just won't go. I had this big dream one time. I was going to make a bow, make me some arrows, make my arrowheads, and I was going to kill me a deer. But I started making a bow. That was my adventures in bow making. And I had a good many hours. I had 40 hours in this boat I was working on. And I went to full tiller to see how it was doing, and I heard it crack. So I was like, well, that's 40 hours down the drain. You don't know where it cracked. You can't finish the bow.
What material were you using for your bow?
Osage orange. And I decided at that time, I sit there, that was 40 hours is a lot of time. I decided that if I make an arrowhead and sell this arrowhead to John Doe over here and collect up all that money from John Doe and go over here to Jim Doe and buy a bow, I said, that's just like making it. So that's what I did. Oh, that's pretty much finished, and I'm going to work on some notches. I'll trim up these edges after I notch it, because you have a lot of failure in notches, so no need to trim them up if it's going to fail. It's just real tedious. Take a few little flakes and flip it over.
I noticed that everybody thinks that the corner notches are easy to make. They're really not that easy.
No, they're not. They're one of the more difficult to me, or and some people do indirect percussion on the corner on their notchings, and they believe that's the way they were done, and I believe it too. But I just never have sat down and taught myself to do it. Now, I should, instead of trying to teach myself, get with somebody. Okay, that needs to go.
Have you ever been really close to finishing it, right as you get ready to finish, it cracks right in half? How's that feel?
I've done that, and I'll tell you what else I've done. I've had them almost finished and dropped them on the floor and broke them. And that's a sick feeling. That's why I always put a piece of carpet or a rug down to nap under. thing about starting out with a corner notch, when if it doesn't work, you can always make a stem point. Some people always say start out with anything, you can always make it into a Dalton. We do our best work at home, where we don't have any distractions. I taught myself, well, I went a year and a half, I didn't teach myself much, Flint Knapping without seeing another napper. And my buddy said, come to the festival at Moundville. And I came down here, and it's right up here behind us on the hill. And there were some really world-class nappers there, and I was watching them, and I said, I told one of them, I was watching him nap between his legs. I said, I could probably show you all a better way to do that, because I was self-taught. And he said, who are you? And I told him, and he said, where are you from? Meridian, Mississippi. He said, go over there and sit by that guy with the beard. He's from Mississippi. And that ended up to be my mentor, Ken Austin. He was from Mississippi, and he really taught me a lot. Pretty much he was saying, forget all that you taught yourself. That ain't the way you need to do it.
If you were going to give somebody advice how you started Flint Knapping, what would you say to them?
I would tell them to, that's a very good question, because I get asked a lot, and I tell them to get you some tools, some good quality tools, get the best rock that you can afford, and don't hoard it back. Go ahead and learn on it, because it's so much easier. Then you can always go back to the crude stuff and watch YouTube videos. Hundreds and hundreds of flint knappers are on YouTube giving short little 10-minute tutorials, and that puts you so far ahead of the curve, opposed like me sitting at home. And I did finally buy a VCR tape, and I go in and I watch that VCR tape. I'd watch this guy do stuff, and I'd go down to my shop. Well, it ain't working. Hit rewind and watch it again. But it's nothing like YouTube now. You can watch, if you're having trouble with notching or getting your flakes to run, you know, it's a guy on there specifically telling you how to overcome that.
Would you suggest that somebody starting out, one of the main things that they should know is a thing called patience?
Yes, yeah, patience. You can't do this without patience. Okay, I've signed this point with a marker, and that I just made, and I sign all of my points with a marker. Not all with a marker, but every point I make, I scribe with a diamond scribe. And I think all modern flint knappers should do that. It cuts down on fraud. And here's my mark, and then I'm gonna and that's just my initials and the date. Is scribed in the rock. Now, a fraudulent person can get that off, but it's not going to be easy. And I'm not about making fakes. I'm about making art and ancient stuff. So, thank you. And thank y'all, Moundville, for Lindsay, for inviting me out to do this.